Good morning, you guys. I went out for my walk today. It was great because I was listening to D Smoke. If you guys know, what was that called? A Rhythm and Flow on Netflix. D Smoke was the winner of that show, and I got his album and I was listening to it. I mean, he has the best vibes, like West Coast. Heard so many elements of different people in hip hop through his music. He has such a great message. He's a great storyteller. So you guys should just definitely get D Smoke's album because he's everything. Kevin and I discussed the Kobe family not being acknowledged at the funeral thing. And I can understand on both sides. People think we have forever to make up with people and do that kind of stuff, and we don't, because anything can happen. Like, this might be the last thing I've ever said. Any exchange we had could be the very last thing we ever said to each other. So I always think about that stuff when I'm using my scissors and cutting people off, because I don't know. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen to me from day to day, so I have to be very comfortable in that fact. You know what I mean? But I think I'm just different when it comes to my kids. Like, I'm so different when it comes to them. So if I cut anyone off because of my kids, I'm always comfortable with it. You know, it just bees that way sometimes. I don't want to give people too much leeway, but also in a time of tragedy like that, you want to lock arms with all the energy that you possibly need and support around you. So it's hard. I have to give it to the woman either way. She stood up there and she talked about her husband and her child at the same time, and I told Kimana, like, there's no way you would get a word out of me because I would be crying so hard. Like, I don't think I'm the type of person that would be able to compose myself in a situation like that. I wouldn't be able to get through it, especially thinking about my baby. Like, I don't think I would be able to. Like, I don't think I'd be able to. So, hats off to her for being composed enough to even get words out that formulate a sentence that makes sense to people, because I would not be able to. It's just a difficult time. I think there's a lot of emotions involved, and at this point, like, maybe she wasn't even focused on the parents, but focused on the fact that she had to bury her child and her husband. So maybe she wasn't even thinking about them. Maybe it's something that'll reconcile afterwards. Like, we don't know. But I know my first and foremost thought probably wouldn't be about anybody other than making sure that my kids are okay and mentally preparing myself to have to get through this, like, very difficult time and hold it together for my kids. So I think that's, like, where my mind would be. It probably wouldn't be anywhere else. Learned that I have to release this need to fix everything. I have an issue with that. I've noticed it in this last situation with my family, the amount of, like, stress and stuff that goes on, like, when I try to fix everything, and it goes like, I don't know why I do that. And maybe it's because I'm the oldest, maybe because that's the role that was given to me and I just kept it, because it goes with my friends, it goes with my family, and I have to learn how to release that. That's a heavy burden, and I didn't realize how heavy it was until I was far away and I couldn't fix something. And then I realized, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And I'm looking at flights, and I feel like it was a sign. Like, I feel like there was a sign from above. There was a 17-hour delay that kept coming up in each ticket. I don't know. I feel like the situation that happened isn't, like, resolved in the way that, it's a me thing. It's a me thing. Like, how I want it to be resolved, I don't feel like it's resolved. Like, I want a deeper conversation to happen, and I want to facilitate that talk between the two parties. But I also know that there's a cycle that goes on, that has been going on. So I don't know how I would be able to break that cycle. You get what I'm saying? So it's weird. It's weird, but I just want this deeper talk to happen so I don't feel like I have to be put in these positions.
Well, I think what happens is an honest conversation needs to happen. No, she's laughing now. Like, I don't want to think that I'm just talking off to the side, but an honest conversation needs to happen, and honest things have to be addressed.
But how is it going to be? But how do you address something if people are not willing to actually look at the heart of the problem. That's my thing, is that people feel like one thing is a problem. So say I get mad at Kevin for not putting away a dish, but there's something deeper going on, right? And so we're not willing to talk about that, so it starts an argument about a dish. Get what I'm saying? And this dish becomes like this symbol for something way bigger.
Yeah.
And we're not willing to discuss this way bigger part, so we're gonna focus on this dish for like hours. And you're like, why are we still talking about this dish already? But it symbolized something else in life. You know what I mean? So how is that facilitated?
I mean,
you're not in camp.
My thing is, you know, maybe approach both parties separately and say, hey.
I just feel like if we were there, you and I, because I feel like, you know, a male and female perspective is good to have and often needed, a balance, so it could help. And to be honest, I feel like he would communicate with one party better than I would. So I just feel like it would be good, but also like, I don't know. I think it's just my need to feel like I have to fix it, but I want it fixed right. Like, I don't want to half-ass fix something. I want to fix it properly. Like, I don't want to throw some shit together and be like, now it's fixed and there's glue everywhere and, you know what I mean? Like, there's broken pieces hanging off. I want it, like, really mended together and fixed. That's my thing.
I mean, the thing is, you could start the process, but they have to continue on the process. You know what I mean? The process of healing and getting things right.
I think it's just hard for people.
That's the thing, because if you don't, you can initiate, but they have to be willing to keep going and say, you know what, I want to make corrections to the behavior. I want to be better than this. You know what I mean? And that's where it has to, you have to feel in your heart of hearts that, you know, what I'm doing is I'm going to keep going because I want to make sure this doesn't happen again, and that we can actually have an honest conversation before things get out of hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
in our honest lives right now, like, our communication has been weird and off in situations, and so we're trying to like fix the way, like, well, I'm trying to be more honest when it happens versus holding it in.
Yes,
that's the
she's
thing.
Definitely have been more honest lately. So, and now I'm there. I'm like, hey, I didn't mean, what is going on here? And I'm like, okay.
But normally I just hold it in and I don't say anything for a very long time. And a situation that happened, like the one that I was trying to help, actually happens, like where it just becomes way bigger than it needs to be because I've held it in for way longer than it should have been. So I'm just trying to be honest on the spot now, like own up to, like, this irritated me, this hurt me, this made me upset, type thing, that I'm not used to doing that. I'm used to just holding it in and gritting my teeth in the middle of the night and having all this tension and having high blood pressure from the stress, and it's just killing me to try to make everybody else okay while I'm not okay. I'm falling apart. So now, like, when I say everything, he's probably like taken aback because I'm not used to it.
So I'm just like, I'm like, hold on, you know, we gotta pull. I want to put the pin back in the grenade and sit it in the lockbox and lock it and bury it, because wasn't my intention. So, but it's a whole new. I understand it's a way about going about doing things. So she's just trying to be open, honest. And it helps decrease the tension and the stress levels, because if you handle it at the beginning versus the end, it's less problematic.
Right.
You know, so it's a new way of her doing things with me and with other people, and it's something I got to get used to, because at the end of the day, it helps, because it doesn't do nobody any good if you're holding everything down and hold down, and then you pull in the pin on a plate. That was misplaced.
That's crazy.
So it's like, wait a minute, that was a plate that was misplaced. Why is it going off on a tangent? Well, this is representation all the times you didn't put the dishes away. Yeah. This is representation all the times when I had to clean the sink after I'd been cooked. Yeah. This is representation of this, and this. So it's more than just that plate. It's actually other things that predicated that plate.
Yeah.
So
we're just trying to make it to where it starts right at where it needs to, so it doesn't grow into something else, you know. And also, like, as a peacekeeper, I had no peace. I try to keep everyone peaceful, and in my heart, I was the one taking on all this stuff. And so it's crazy, honestly. Like it's hard, but I'm just learning myself right now and trying to figure out my communication style that works for me, that allows me to speak my truth, but also I have to be mindful of how much of the truth that I speak, because it can come off pretty hard at times, you know. So I have to be mindful of how much of it I'm saying, but also be able to say it at the same time. Get it? So that's kind of what I just want to help them with, because it's been a about Kobe. What was your side on the parent issue? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Kobe. So what was your side on the Vanessa Kobe family situation?
Man, it's crazy because I still think they should have just mentioned the parents. You know what I mean? Hey, that's the parents in attendance, and call it a day. You know what I mean? Versus.
So you're saying just an honorable mention and then left it at that?
Yeah, an honorable mention. Hey, these are the, you know, there's the parents, blah blah blah.
Were
and
they
then
in the
keep
program?
it. They weren't in the program. They were just They weren't in the program at all. They were in attendance, but they didn't speak. People didn't say not one word.
You know, usually, like, you know, not everybody speaks. They say, oh, these are the pallbearers. This is
not that I know. They said it wasn't mentioned at all.
Who you leave behind and stuff like that. Those things, they weren't.
They were mentioned at all.
Wow.
They were mentioned at all. They were in attendance, but they were not mentioned at all.
As I had mentioned earlier, I just feel like at the time she was focused on her and her kids, her little family, and I don't know if it was done purposely. I don't know if she had time to be malicious. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I really don't know.
I honestly feel like if some people are gonna find something negative about whatever, and that's what I feel like it's, instead of switching to the, you know, this is a tragedy that happened to a family, they just picking on these things. You know what I mean?
Right. I just feel like she was focused on her kids and herself. She had to keep herself composed. She was burying two people at the same time, speaking about two people that were in her everyday life at the same time. So I don't know if it was malintent, but I also, like I said, she was probably ride or die for her husband and how he felt, she felt. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the way it is with a lot of relationships.
It becomes a unit,
and we feel the same way. Like, if he felt some type of way, then I felt that way, and that's just how it is. But I don't know, like, I'm sad that it's a topic of discussion anyways.
Yeah.
And who's grieving her daughter, you guys, her child, and her husband. I can't say for certain that was malintent, and if it was, I feel like she chose to back her husband. I mean, the woman's grieving. I'm leaving her alone. Y'all, before I end this vlog, I just want to say I went to Walmart and I got a whole bunch of bras for $2. Okay, $2. So, yeah. We got our son a bike. He was really happy. Let me go show it. Yes. So, I love it. Kevin didn't like the color, and the first thing Tasha was like, I like the color. Mama knows. So I just want to end the vlog. Thank you so much for joining me and spending your minutes with me. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.